Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching us from, and welcome back to yet another episode of Unprepared to Entrepreneur, the channel that brings you real, raw, and often untold stories of entrepreneurship. And today is a special one. I had a sitting with Alfred Mathu. Those who've not watched that episode, you can catch it on our channel. And I think you wanted him back, and so I decided to bring him back. And let's take this conversation slowly, because many of you are complaining that you wanted to learn more from him, and apparently I couldn't let him speak. So welcome to class. Today we are talking about financial literacy and what you can do today to achieve financial freedom. But before we get to what we can do today, I want us to learn from his experience. It's been many years doing the work that he does. But before we get to that, I will allow him to introduce himself. Good morning, Mr. Mathu.
Morning, Anne.
How are you doing?
Very well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Oh
it's
my
good
gosh.
to see you again after a while.
January ndio imeisha.
Yes.
I'm not sure it's still a new year, but it's good to see you. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
And to our listeners, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching us from. I wish you the very, very best of 2025. Thank you so much.
Please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Alfred Mathu. Once again, I'm a financial doctor, financial consultant. I speak to people about money matters, people of all walks of life, young and old, those that are at the startup and those that are even towards the end of their journey. I speak to all people, just to try help you people improve on your money management skills, to especially be able to build security, your financial security for your future. I am the lead consultant, His African Insurance Agency, a leading consultancy firm that is based here in Nairobi, and especially serving customers of both ABSA interested products and the old mutual customers as well. So as a financial advisor, what I do is that when I sit with you, I'll try to understand where you are on your financial journey, and then I'll be able to pick a solution that will help you achieve your desired agenda. And some of these solutions will be coming from either ABSA Life or they'll be coming from Old Mutual Life. So that's especially what I do. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I want this to be sort of like a class.
Yes.
I really want to understand, and my audience wants to understand as well.
Yeah.
So I know you've been doing this for how many years?
27 years now.
It's been 27 years.
Yes.
If, let's say, your first client
Yes.
was 25 years old, they are now 52.
True.
52 years
Or
old,
thereabout.
right? Or thereabout, right?
Yes, yes.
They're in their 50s, let's
Yes.
say. If they were in their 30s, they are in their 60s.
Correct.
Probably.
Yes.
And I think there is a wealth of knowledge that you hold that you can maybe take us through, because first, I want my audience to understand why it's important to take action today, wherever you are. When this information gets to you, it's important that you take action today.
Yes.
So I don't know if you have any experiences, any stories that you have from your past clients, success stories or otherwise. We would really love to learn from them.
Thank you very, very much. And I think when you get to the basics of financial planning, first of all, it is important to understand why this subject is important to all of us. We speak about money every time, every season, every household is talking about money. But like I told you last time, you realize that in as much as it's such an important subject, only 3% of people have done what they need to do in terms of financial wellness. The rest of the people, or the masses, are still doing hide and seek. And for me, the worst thing is to sit, do nothing, and at the point that you start thinking through this subject, you've already run out of time, you've already run out of resources, you've already run out of energy. And you're actually coming to the finish line in terms of your retirement. There are enough people that I've talked to through my 27 years. Some of them have taken up my gospel. Others have, for reasons best known to them, chosen to procrastinate. And at this particular point, I'll tell you that it doesn't matter where the person is, in their career path. It's good to know that you can succeed and you can as well fail. Every detail is going to be informed by how you're relating with your money. There are people that I spoke to many years back when they were really in their very stages of their career, and some that took up the gospel and polished up the way they've managed their money over the years. They've been able to address the bulk of the goals that they had, the short-term goals, the medium-term goals, and the long-term goals. And for me, what makes me very, very happy is to see people that took up the message, put the best foot forward at that point, and now today, as we speak, some of them are retired, others are retiring, and they are actually comfortable even to address that monster, that retirement monster, because it's a monster to a lot of people. I've as well seen many that I talked to those many years, never did anything, and today they are regretting why they never did it. I've got one pleasant story that I like telling.
Yeah.
It's a gentleman, one of my oldest customers, just based here in Kilimani. This gentleman, career-wise, was a tea taster.
Tea taster.
Tea taster. The guys who go all over the world testing tea.
Testing tea.
Yes, and grading it at the same time.
And grading it.
He's been all over the world.
Interesting.
Okay, employed. At the point that I met him, was not even earning a big salary, but we had a conversation with him around his financial planning, his goals, what he wanted to do, his family. He's got 3 children. Now they're adults. And we started off in a very small way, a journey of putting together funds, building the emergencies, building funds for the contractual obligations, and also building something for his retirement. Today he's 63. He's retiring at 65, as he told me. And he told me from the onset the three things that he wanted to achieve. In the short term, the emergencies. The guy gave me some target. This is the kind of fund I want to have that will always be able to address my personal and family emergencies whenever they come. Then we also talked about his children. Alfred, I've got a son and 2 daughters. This is the kind of education I want to give them. And in the event of unfortunate demise before, I want my family not to be, not to be exposed. So we also came up with a program just around life cover, disability, and critical illness. At the same time, the long-term plan for his retirement. Now, let me talk about the medium-term goal that he had that has since been achieved. The guy told me that when his children are of age, he would really like to give them a good settlement, even as they pursue their various careers. And one of the things that we looked at that particular point was how to get at least each of them to own a home or a house in Nairobi.
Oh.
Okay, yes. And I'm talking about 2007. 2007. And this guy kicked off an investment for each of their 3 children with a target. And the only thing that I can remember very, very well is that for a period of 10 years that this guy was into that program, up to 2017, he was putting for each of these children a fund of 100,000.
So that's 300,000.
300,000. And
Every
he did
month?
it religiously without fail for 10 years.
Every month?
Every month. After the expiry of that contract, this guy got 57 million. The 57 million shillings was now a sum of his contribution and the profits that amount accumulated. With a fund of 57 million shillings, thereabout, he called me one day and told me, Alfred, now that we are done with this, remember I told you I wanted to buy at least a house for each of my children.
Yeah.
He went to Kilimani with his wife. Actually, Lavington, not Kilimani. Lavington with his wife. And bought 3 apartments. Each 3-bedroom. 3-bedroom apartments. And each of 3 units of 3-bedroom apartments. He bought for his children, and each was going for 18 million. On the day that was going to hand over to the children, he invited me.
Oh my gosh.
Now the children didn't know.
Yeah.
The last one had just cleared university, and I remember she was pursuing law. And had no idea that there was such a plan by the father and mother 10 years ago to empower them, to get them to own a house here in Nairobi. So one afternoon, it was on a Thursday, the guy called me and told me, Alfred, if you're in Nairobi, please, could you kindly come to my place of work?
Yeah.
He runs a restaurant up here in Kilimani. Went to the restaurant, and I found him in the boardroom with his wife and the 3 children. And I sat and I was like, hey, God, what's happening here? Told me, Alfred, please, we are here. We're first of all having some refreshments, can have some coffee, some tea. Then we'll tell you the agenda of the day. He was carrying 3 envelopes, and each envelope had a bunch of keys. And the children were really anxious to know what was the agenda
happening.
for the of the meeting. So when we were settled, the guy then went ahead and said that, Eva, Brian, and Nancy, I invited Alfred to be here with us because about 10 years ago, myself, your mom, sat down and agreed that it would be good that we empower you one day when you start working.
Yeah.
And the only good idea that came our way was to get you guys at least a place you can call your home or your own house. We've since addressed that need, and the reason why Alfred is here is to witness us handing over the keys to the 3 units that we bought for you. Nancy is the first born, got a bunch of keys. Brian is the second born. Eva is the third born.
Yeah.
And up that point, they couldn't believe what the father was talking about.
Yeah.
They opened the envelopes, and inside were the bunches of keys to their own fully furnished apartments. Let me tell you what, if you've ever been in an emotional setup, this one turned out to be. That in a few minutes, Nancy was all over the place crying. Eva couldn't control herself. She started crying as well. Brian was shedding of tears. And this moved the mother. The mother started crying.
Yeah.
The father started shedding of the tears. I've never been in such an environment.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what, there were enough lessons that I took home. So this experience taught me a number of things. And one of the take-homes was the importance of financial planning.
Yes.
That this guy had an agenda. He knew, he sat down and looked at what budget that would take. And he strategized and he settled on a product which in a period of 10 years, he religiously saved. He got all the support from the wife.
That's a whole lot of discipline.
Yes.
Also.
And thirdly, he kept quiet. A lot of us are never able to keep quiet when we are working on a goal. We talk even before the goal materializes.
Yes.
And that's how we lose it.
We have to tell everyone.
This guy kept quiet for 10 years. The only person that knew was myself and the wife. And he kept quiet. He never talked about it to anyone until that last day. The other thing, it's looking at various ways of loving your family. There are people who think that by buying gadgets, that is enough.
Yeah.
Other people think that by only educating the children, that is enough. Depending on how God has given you resources, you may want to go an extra mile. This was a very revolutionary experience. And I can tell you the respect and love that this family, the husband and wife, earned from their children from that day to today has been
I can
beyond
only
the expectation.
imagine. Yeah.
Beyond the expectation. Okay? I think for me, every detail of the things that you want to achieve in life lies in your commitment.
So allow me to ask, from your experience, how many, in terms of, you can just give me like percentages, the people you interact with on a percentage, what percentage take action and what percentage don't take action?
Going by the statistics that I gave you earlier, where you said that only 3% of Kenyans are on their path to financial wellness, it means that approximately 97% of people either don't know or are procrastinating or don't care or will think about this later. This is the bigger percentage of people to whom this message is not important.
It's not important.
And if it is, not for now.
These are tomorrow's problems.
It's a tomorrow's
Why
problem.
do I need to deal with the problem
only 3%. Today? And that's the reason why you find our country in the kind of financial mess we are in. Financial literacy, our attitude, you see, our discipline, our commitment.
Yes.
People are not committed. We are now in a new year. We talked about many financial goals in December, and people even wrote down their financial resolutions. A whole month down the line, they are yet to start the execution process. You said that in January, this is what I want to start off.
Yes.
Now the January is gone. We got exactly 11 months to December. There are people who have perpetually sung this song. And some sang the song until the retirement date came.
Oh, yes.
The guys that I met when they were in 20s, as you said, today they're in 50s.
Yes.
And some of them have already started seeing what I was talking about. Some have already started feeling the pain of not having taken action.
Why do you think they don't take action? According to your experience,
yes,
because 97% is a staggering number for such an important subject. Why don't they take action from your experience?
Whereas I agree that financial literacy aspect contributes a huge percentage of those that have not taken action.
So those are those who don't know.
Yes. There's still a big population of those that know what they need to do, but have chosen not to do. It's not a priority. So for me, it's about financial discipline. Because the whole conversation starts or emanates from a budget. You sit down, look at how much do I make every month? How must I spend this money? And if you go by the formula that I've prescribed before, you have to look at your short-term goals, your medium-term goals, and you got to look at your long-term goals. And I said, 25% of your income is not for spending, it is for investing. 25%. Remember the formula I talked about?
Yes.
25, 50, 25. Where the 25, the first 25 is money that's supposed to be directed to various avenues of investing and saving. And then the 50% will be able to address your needs. The remaining 25% is of those things that make your life comfortable. They are more of want nature. For example, go to a salon, buying an expensive mobile, driving a Gazra, taking your family for a holiday, having parties over the weekend, having bashes with friends. Those things should only
the things that just make you happy.
Should fit within 25% of your income. And 50% should be able to address all your needs. Now, let me tell you, that's where the trouble starts. That for a lot of people, the needs that they have require more than 50% of your income.
Explain that. Under the needs we have, there is groceries, there is rent, there is school fees, there is clothing.
Let me tell you what are needs. Needs are those expenses you can't do without.
You can't do without.
You can't do without. Whether it's your rent, whether it's your food, whether it's paying Kenya Power because certainly you need.
Utilities.
Whether it's these days internet has become a basic need. Okay, whether it's transport, all those things you cannot do without should fit within 25%. 50% of your income. And as I said, a lot of people to live month on month, they are spending more than 50% of their money on needs, which means they are living above means. In as much as paying rent is compulsory, there's a certain level of expense on that element that now be deemed as beyond a need. Like I met a young man the other day, not married, doesn't have any much obligations, living in a 2-bedroom apartment in Riverside and paying 100,000 shillings. The same guy could fit in a 1-bedroom apartment and pay 50,000.
Anywhere.
That's what I mean. In as much as paying rent is a basic need, must he pay 100,000? Why not go to 50,000? Why not go to a 1-bedroom? Because that's what he needed at that particular point. And was keeping the extra room for a visitor. Then I asked him which visit and how often do you get visitors?
How often do they visit? Yes.
And that's not where you separate the need and the want. Now, there's a gentleman called Warren Buffett.
Yes.
And who, as I mentioned to you last time, according to Warren Buffett, we should be spending the balance of investment. When you make money, invest first, spend the balance. I want to talk about this portion that he says we should invest. And this is 25% of your income. If you want to know that you are on the right path to your financial wellness, you don't even have to ask your pastor. You don't even have to ask your parents or your colleagues. If you're putting aside 25% of your income, that is magical. It is enough to take you where you're going. But as long as you're putting aside less than 25%, your realization of goals and financial wellness is debatable.
Why is there resistance in terms of changing lifestyle? Because when I listen to you, I what I'm hearing is that lifestyle is a big challenge, and people are not able to live within or below their means. They are definitely living above their means. So there are many Could you just expound on that? Why is it a challenge from the people you've interacted with?
Apparently, a lot of Kenyans are disturbed by perceptions of their friends and relatives. What do people think about me if they found me living or doing or driving or doing this, being in this class? When I drive a Prado, what message do I send? How about when I go to Vitz? What message? They care so much about what other people think about them. And to tell you the truth, those other people don't even care about what you drive. When you move to Lunda, what message are you sending to your friends and relatives? And how about when you are in Mohoko? What message are you sending? We care so much about their perception rather than reality.
Yeah.
Kenya is one of the few countries where people are not able to separate emotions from facts. We are not able to. We live for others. A lot of the people are living fake life. And I did mention to you last time that COVID did expose the fakeness of our lifestyles. That lot of people that lived in Lunda, lots of people that lived in the living suburbs, Karen, the Westlands, Kireshua, Lavington, a lot of them were humbled to their space. Waking up to realize that you can no longer afford your means in the space that you find yourself. And it's such a trauma having to move or to relocate from Westlands to go and start once again in Kitengela. It's such a trauma to move from Lunda to start again
for a Kenyan.
Yes.
It shouldn't be, but for a Kenyan, it's traumatizing. You're
moving out of Lunda to go and start again in Roiro. And I'm not trying to say that Roiro is bad.
Yes.
I think for me, it's at what stage of your life do you need to find yourself there? I would rather start from Roiro, come towards Lunda. Rather than start from Lunda, go towards
going towards
But Kenyans, that's what they're doing. When you talk about climbing a tree, for them, they're climbing from up down. That you're starting from Karen, and on retirement, you are somewhere in Kisanju.
And the main motivation is just to impress people?
Imagine. Later in life, you realize that by then they didn't care.
Do you have a personal interaction with a client like that?
A lot of them.
Yeah.
I can't even count one. In fact, I'll tell you very, very honestly. I've got one now. I don't want to mention the estate, but only again driven by the same pressure, peer pressure. He ended up taking up a very huge mortgage in one of the very, very suburbs. He never told us that he took a mortgage. Me, from the day one, I knew he bought the house. The house went for 67 million. And from the look of things, at the point he presented this to me, I thought he bought. Unfortunately, 6-7 years down the line, his business has gone down. What was supporting the mortgage? And by the way, it's a huge mortgage.
67 million is
just found
huge.
out the guy has been paying
Because
635,000 per month.
My gosh.
635,000 a month. And this is not an old guy. He's got children in the university now.
Was that his first house?
I don't think it was, but he came from a rental house. So the transition was that was quite a jump.
Yes.
Coming from a rental house, even if you are paying 100,000, but jumping to a mortgage of 67 million shillings, that was a huge one. Now the guy has got children in the university. His last born is in high school. And his business has started doing badly. The last 1 year, he's been struggling. I'm telling you, he made the worst decision now. A bold decision now to sell off the house. But when you look at the circumstances at which he's selling this house, he's not going to recover anything. He's not.
Yeah.
Kenyans don't have money at the moment to spend on that kind of a house.
Yeah.
So if you try to get a buyer, even the buyers that you are coming across,
Yeah.
are those that are also going to take loans from banks.
Yeah.
So they really negotiate.
And they will not give you the...
And the bank that
market
you are owing,
price is...
the bank that you are owing
Yeah.
is already put you under pressure.
Yes.
And the one who is coming to buy already knows that you actually in debt.
Yeah.
You are under pressure to sell.
Yes.
Now you can imagine.
You're exposed.
So you are selling just to clear with the bank.
Yeah.
Not to make
You're
any
very
return out of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the guy now is about 51, 52. So you're asking yourself, what future does he have now? To start afresh at 52, you almost don't have the energy. To sustain himself, he's had to do lots of borrowing.
Yeah.
I'm sure from the banks, the personal loans. These are guys that would even take credit cards everywhere they go just to try and sustain the lifestyle. You realize the 9th hour that it's not working. And at this particular point, you actually need to sensibly be talking about your retirement.
What do you do when you get to that point?
I'm telling you, let me
Like
tell you what.
I'm thinking, like for example, and I really sympathize with that situation, because now at 52, what happens now?
Let me tell you what. We got enough of walking dead in our streets. People that are already dead but walking. They're just waiting to be buried. People are carrying enough pressure.
Explain. Give me like examples.
Yes. When people have been seen on the 10th floor of a building, not talking to anyone, and moments later you hear the guy jumped. It tells you the ruthlessness of the pressure that people are dealing with.
Yeah.
Now you imagine yourself, you get yourself in such a situation, and of course when things are not working financially, they'll not even work in terms of marriage. It is when you fail financially that even marriage fails.
Yes.
I'll tell you the truth.
Yes.
Marriage, most of the marriages,
Somebody sang
when
there's
there's financial stress, marriages don't survive. Most of them don't survive.
There's that song, there's no love without finance, something like that.
Yeah, put it the way my father put it ruthlessly. He said, women don't eat love. They eat money.
They eat.
That's what he told me. And when I tried to interpret what my father meant, you have to have the financial ability to support the family. Telling them that you love them is not enough.
It's not enough.
You tell them better through the actions. When they see the bills have been paid, you're not subjecting them to embarrassments of auctioneers. Because how can you be calling your husband sweetie when the auctioneers are in the compound? Can you even remember what name to call him? When the children have been chased from school, how can you then call that guy sweetie?
That is changing because women are also earning.
Women are empowered, and I can tell you, and I mentioned again last time, a revolution is just underway. A revolution is underway. You know, one brilliant thing about women is that right from the onset, for them, they are majorly looking at building security. That's the reason you see most of the ladies in chamas, you see them in circles, you see them in savings accounts, you see them. I mean, they are trying to diversify the scope of their savings and investments to the degree of ability. But where are we, the men? We are majorly in the spending circles. That's where most of the men are.
So would you say like this lifestyle issue is affecting
men especially? Men are in competition.
To women?
Men especially. Do you know something?
Explain that.
Can I tell you something? If a family lived well in Lunda, and for one reason or the other they are thrown out of that house due to maybe liabilities, and you have to go and start again maybe in Kitengela, your car has been, your Range Rover, the man has been taken, your wife's brother has been taken, and you have been humbled to that level of now starting afresh. Do you know the lady is able to start over again and move on? But for a lot of cases for the men are not able to pick up their bits and pieces. They are hit by depression from that. He cannot imagine how people think about him when they see him walking after his Range Rover has been taken. Men are not able to cope up. Ladies move on quickly. You see what I mean? For them, that attachment to some of the assets is not as much as for the men. A man's car being towed means the end of life. Is it because of this perception? Is it self-inflicted, or as a society? I think it's a society.
Are we also very judgmental?
The society.
Because I mean, it's across board.
You know, in December, when people are waiting to celebrate their Christmas, and you have no concrete plans for your own family, and they start receiving photos from friends, neighbors that you know, who've already taken their families to Dubai, and they already puts you as a man, puts you to a space of a lot of pressure. That all my friends are already in Dubai, all my friends are in Singapore, my friends are in South Africa, my friends flew first class, my friends, you know, that puts a lot of the men to pressure. That they end up taking debts to be able to match. Only for perception purposes.
Only for perception purposes.
Yes. But let me go back to what I was talking about, Ariel. I said according to Warren Buffett, you invest first and then spend the balance.
25%.
And for most of the people, we believe in spending fast, we shall invest later. There will never be anything left for you
if something is left,
no, this portion that Warren Buffett is saying should be directed to investments. We're not just looking at investments, we're also looking at savings. The reason being, what motivates you to put money in the particular platform? Is it purely security, money that you can access, or is it money that you want to grow? And that's the line that differentiates savings and investments. Savings, especially, you put aside money that you can access. The conversion of return at that point is not very important. You are majorly looking at security and accessibility. That's when you hear people talk about savings accounts. When you hear people talking about investments, you're looking at how to grow the shilling. I put in 3 shillings, I'll probably get back 3 shillings 50 cents, or I'll get 4 shillings. You want to multiply your wealth. Now, the 25% should then be able to address, one, the savings, which a lot of times will direct such monies in the emergency account we call the money market. Money market is a safe parking for your money where you can access with ease. There's a lot of flexibility.
Correct, yeah.
Anytime you feel you want your money, you can, because it's majorly for short-term purposes.
But maybe, I know about money market fund, but in case we have some people in the audience who don't know what a money market fund is, what is a money market fund and what does it do?
So money market is part of what you call the collective investment schemes, where investors come together, they pool their various resources for short-term purposes. And I'm talking about liquid resources. I'm not talking about land. I'm talking about liquid resources. Where Anne has put in 1 million, I've put in 500, our brother has put in 700, the other one has put in 1 million shillings. When these funds are pulled together for short-term purposes, you realize that the driver of all this is security and accessibility. You want a place where you can put in your money. Yes, it might give some conservative return, but what is majorly driving you to that program is easy access and the fund is secure. So money market happens to be that instrument where people put money for the short-term purposes. And this money is invested in government securities. The government securities, you're looking at instruments such as treasury bills, the treasury bonds, you got the debentures, you got the commercial papers, etc.
I see.
The government majorly becomes the borrower of the money.
Yes.
But of course, when the government borrows, it will pay back with interest within the period.
Yeah.
Now, this interest then goes to the investors. After the fund manager has taken out their
management fee
like that, and any taxes, if any, the rest is then paid to the investor. So this money that you can access anytime with a lot of ease. And as is traditionally in our country, any money market account gives you a statement every month. So you're able to keep track. So when an emergency comes up, in fact, people are able to access their funds through their mobile apps.
Yes,
You just download that,
efficient,
and you can actually be able to transact easily without a lot of pressure. But now you will not live on the emergency fund forever, because the threshold for the emergency fund should be between 3 to 6 times of your monthly financial requirements. If Anne requires 100,000 shillings to manage her financial affairs within a month, it then means the threshold for your money market should be between 3 times of that, so 300, and 6 times of that, which is 600. So for you who requires 100,000 shillings every month to manage your financial affairs, a money market of between 300 to 600 is just adequate.
So we're talking about now the monthly financial needs.
Yes, monthly financial needs.
Multiply by 3 or to 6.
To 6. Okay? You're not going to dwell on the emergencies forever. You then start now think about the next level of your investments.
Yeah.
How about my goals? I have children to educate. I want to buy a house. I want to start a business. You start thinking about those goals, which will come maybe the next 5 years, the next 10 years. How would I be able to organize myself financially to be able to address the obligation? So that is the reason why people go now into what you call the contractual investments. And contractual investments are a primary tool for the medium-term investment. And here we're looking at a disciplined way of putting together a fund in the medium term. And the medium term here, I'm looking at 5 years through to about 10 years.
5 to
Let's
10
say
years.
Anne today is 30 years. And you are tired of paying rent. You have given yourself a timeline that by the time I turn 40, which is 10 years from now, I want to have put together a fund of 10 million to buy a house. Okay? And that amount will then help you to decide where will that house be. Is it in Royo? Is it in Kitengela? Am I going to buy an apartment in Kiliman? You decide. But the primary target here is 10 million. So I'll then sit with Anne. We look at your pay slip or your earning pattern. And we look at, if you apply this formula of 25, 50, 25, this 25%, how does it sit on your pay slip? Then from there, we're able to decide how much you could possibly start putting in this contractual investment to run for the next 10 years and to help you build the fund of 10 million. During this time, we are aware that there are risks. One of the risks could be death.
Health. Death, yes.
As we start that program, I can't give you guarantee that I'll be there myself or you'll be there yourself 10 years from today. So we take that as a risk.
Yeah.
And because of the people that are depending on you, we give you a life cover. That in case you die early, there will be this benefit to be paid out to the people that are depending on you so that they can also carry on with their agenda. The other thing is, between now and 10 years, what if there was an instance of disability? Either you become permanently disabled, you're going to be incapacitated, you're not going to be able to do what you've been doing again.
Yeah.
So we give you a disability benefit, that in the event of disability, there's this amount that is going to be paid out to you, and the paying institution will take over your obligation of paying the premium, the one you're paying for 10 years, they'll take over paying for you that amount to the 10th year. You are alive, so they give you a disability benefit to cushion you now that you've become disabled, and they still go ahead and take over the burden of making the monthly contribution towards the 10 million shillings kitty. Remember, don't forget that.
Yes.
We still have the goal. You see, whether you are disabled
So
or
you're,
not.
you're basically securing and ensuring that it doesn't matter what happens to you.
Yes,
the
you
goal
still
is
achieve the goal.
achieved.
The goal still has to be achieved. So the first thing we'll do is to give you a lump sum, take care of your disability situation, but you then take over paying the contribution that you are making into the 10
Since you're
million
no
program,
longer
so that you don't have to pay
earn.
anymore.
Yeah.
The institution will take over paying, and they'll pay up to the 10th year, so that you still have the 10 million shillings to be able to purchase or build the house that you wanted. Okay. The other is that we'll also be talking about, or other risk would be like critical illness.
Yes. Health.
Every other day, people are going to hospitals and they're coming back devastated with critical illness diagnosis. There are people who did tests last week. They are going for the results today. You can imagine the devastation of being told you are in stage 2, stage 3 cancer. So what happens in such a scenario? So what happens from the world I come, we'll be able to pay what we call a critical illness benefit. Now that you've been diagnosed with that illness, your doctor only needs to write to us a report. Okay? Indicating that this is the illness that you've been diagnosed with. And if it's one of those that we've covered, one of the severe illnesses that we've covered, we give you that benefit, which is a lump sum amount payable to you. And from that day to the expiry of the contract, the monthly contribution that we're making will take over paying for you. So even sickness does not stop you from buying or building a house.
Oh, I see.
So whether you become disabled or you get sick,
Or you die.
no, dying is a different thing.
Okay.
If you get disabled or you get sick,
Yes.
you'll still be able to own the
To
house.
achieve
Why?
the goal.
Because immediately upon death, disability or critical illness, is a benefit that is going to be paid to you to give you immediate
I see.
cushion, but the obligation of contributing is now taken over by the company. We'll contribute until the 10th year,
Yeah.
so that we still give you the 10 million shillings. Now, if you die, unfortunately, we'll now be able to take care of your family, or your dependents, not you.
Not you,
not
because
there.
now you're gone.
So a benefit is going to be paid to your next of kin. or
But
your
the house
beneficiary.
you are going to build for your family
Yes, they can
anyway.
still do it.
They
Now
can
they have
still
been
do
given the benefits, because the benefit is normally a multiple of the premiums that we paid. You might only have paid, like I had an instance, 2022. I sat with a couple and they had a plan for 10 years. This gentleman decided to work with a 10 million shillings sum assured target, and which was going to give him 22 million shillings on the 10th year. So the initial savings was 75,399. And that amount was supposed to be increasing every year at a rate of 10%. He paid the first installment of 75,399. Exactly 23 days later, he got an accident at Village Market and died.
Oh no.
We gave the wife 10 million. That's how you cushion your family. Buying pizzas for your family does not confirm love. It confirms lifestyle. Buying mobiles for your children does not confirm love.
Yeah.
It only confirms lifestyle. There's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Give that child security. In fact, I'm telling parents now, if you've put your children in high-cost schools, be sure to give that child cushion in the event you're not there, or event you become disabled. Now, if you've taken your daughter to Brookhouse, and then something happens to you, do you think there are people out there who are willing to fundraise for that child in Brookhouse, and they themselves are taking their children to Buruburu Girls?
No.
They'll not.
No.
So when you take your child to such an expensive school, can you be careful to have the right structures in place that will be able to give that child certainty, either in case you become disabled, in case you have a critical illness, or in case you died. But that's not what parents are doing. They take you to expensive schools, then they buy you gadgets, and then you'll be eating what you want. Then if something happens, the family comes down crumbling. They cannot pay school fees.
Yeah.
The lifestyle is not sustainable.
I'll tell you something, and this is like, I'm listening to you and I am also reflecting on my journey to date. And first, I've been in this situation before where I've sat with a financial like a finance manager to help you with your financial planning and investment. And by the time we are done with that conversation, I'm feeling so overwhelmed. I am feeling so overwhelmed, and I'm hearing all these numbers and I'm just like, I don't think I have enough to start. And so what do? I park. According to me, I'm not procrastinating. I have parked the conversation, right? Now, I know you've heard this before. Yeah, I've parked the conversation. Let me go and find ways to make more money, so then I can come back and we can now have this conversation, because it's a lot and I have very little. Have you encountered, because that's the feeling this conversation, when I reflect back, is giving me.
I don't know whether to agree with you that is not procrastination. Because in my view...
Truly, in my heart, I am not procrastinating.
Let me tell you what. If some message has already been shared with you that needs action, then taking that action should be a priority, if the subject matters to you.
I agree with you. I am taking action.
And let me tell you something. Well, that loan was not built in a day, neither Nairobi. Even your own financial success. You don't have to start here. Start where you are. If your current financial situation only allows you to direct only 10,000 shillings of your income into doing what you need to do, ultimately, start the journey. A lot of people are waiting to start investing 100,000 per month. That's the reason they're not starting. They are capable of doing 50, but they choose not to do because they want to do 100. You're never too sure when the 100,000 shillings will start coming your way. Start where you are. I have to mention to you that my very own first investment was 3,000 shillings.
Could you tell us about that? Because I think that you told me that story in a totally different forum.
Yes.
Just take us through that whole investment, because I feel like there are some lessons in there.
I'll tell you at a very, very personal level. I'm inspired by that one action of accepting in 1998 to start putting aside the 3,000 shillings, and which was a significant portion of my income then. I was just barely earning 12,500 in gross income. The net was just coming to about 10,900.
10,000, so that's 30%?
Yes. I started putting 3,000 aside. Those were the days when going to Carnival was the main thing. Every Friday, Saturday, people of my age that time were going to Carnival. Can I tell you something? People only used to pay 1,000 shillings at the entrance. And some badge or something you put on your wrist. With a 1,000 shillings, you just go in, you eat and drink and dance to dawn. The only thing you're not allowed to drink is alcohol. With 1,000 shillings. And most of the young people are going there. I couldn't afford, because now a bigger chunk of my income was going into investments. But can I tell you something? The discipline of moving from 3,000 to 5,000 to 15 to 20 to 40.
As your income
Believe it or not, at the point this account matured in 2023, I was paying 347,000 per month. I started off the same program at 3,000.
Wait. Pole.
Yeah.
Take us back.
Yes.
So you started in 1998.
Yes.
How old were you then?
I was 24.
24 years old?
About 24 years.
So 3,000 at 24.
Yes.
It would increase by 10% every year?
Now, let me tell you, that time, there was no structured way of increasing your amount. You just write, I only needed to write. I want to increase my contribution from 3,000 to 5,000. Next year, I want to increase my contribution from 5,000 to 10,000.
Take me through your thought process at that point, because that's where we are all struggling. Because today, if you told me, Anne, can you afford 3,000 every month towards this? I will say yes. right?
Yes.
However, after the conversation we just had, and
Yes.
if you leave me to start,
Yes.
I will feel like I can't start because it's too much and I don't have enough.
Yes.
That's what my mind is tricking me to, like, that's the space I am in.
Yes.
So I feel like there is a lot to learn here. Take us through your thought process at 3,000, and then what pushed you to start? What inspired that? And what inspired those increments?
Now, okay. When I first got my job with the company, then Old Mutual, I remember we were a class of about 43 people. We all trained at the same time. But by the end of the training, which lasted 2 months, most of the guys had dropped off.
What was the training about?
Financial planning, to become a financial advisor. And I remember very well, by the 6th month, we were about 9 of us. The rest had dropped. Because they realized that selling insurance is not their thing.
Yeah.
So they dropped on the way. And even today, there are people who still have the attitude that, hey, selling insurance, I can't do that. Selling insurance, no. So many people dropped. There are those that remained. But we had a boss that time. The guy was called Stuart Henderson. And the guy started talking to us about the importance of consuming what we are selling and ensuring that right from the day one, you start putting your house in order in terms of your own savings.
Yeah. Okay.
And he even took us through his own journey of himself, his 2 sons, and wife in South Africa, where he started off. And at the point, he had actually worked that particular point for Old Mutual for about 40 years. And I think for me, this gospel sang very well. And that's the reason why I accepted from the day one, let me just start.
Yeah.
I was coming from a very humble background. Being a firstborn in the family, I knew that my saving meant everything to that family. So I started with the 3,000 bob. At the end of the year, as my commission started building, I also started now reviewing my savings upwards. And this guy became my very close friend, mentor actually. We'd always have these conversations.
Okay, so you would look at it like, okay, you start at 3,000.
Yes.
Why 3,000 at the time?
That was a recommendation by him.
Okay.
He actually recommended that, Alfred, with the kind of commission that you guys are earning, 12,000, they're about 10,900 net, 3,000 would be a good start.
Okay.
You see at that particular point, you don't even have a lot of expenses. You have no debt.
Yes.
Okay, there's no car, there's no mortgage, no sakorum.
No kids.
Yes, no children at that particular point. So just put aside that percent. That's what I started.
You start with 3,000.
Yes. And then at the end of the year, I just doing a basic review of how my income was growing. I realized it was possible now for me to do a review in terms of the contribution. I moved from 3,000 to 5,000. The third year again, with another review, I realized, yeah, I'm okay. I can now even push this to about 9,000, move to 9,000. And the journey continued. At the point this account matured in 2023, I was putting 347,000.
How many years are those?
23 years.
23 years.
Yes.
You contributed
23
religiously?
Years. For 23 years. At the point this was maturing, I was doing 347,000 per month. Now let me tell you the juicy part of it. In the entire 23-year period, I had put together 17 million.
Wow.
17 million. It still sounds like quite a bit of cash today.
Yes, it does.
But the fact that it was done in 23 years absorbs part of the shock.
I see. Yeah, if you ask me, okay, Anne, how long will it take you between now and whenever to raise 17 million?
Yes.
It'll be I'll be like, oh my God.
Yes.
But small, I mean, coming from 3,000 and now you have 17 million, that's mind-blowing.
Just again telling you, in investments we always say, don't wait to invest. Invest, then wait.
Invest, then wait.
Yes, don't wait to invest. Invest, then wait. And one of the greatest lessons that I learned from this guy is that a prudent person will today be doing what others are planning to do tomorrow. A prudent person will today be doing what other people are planning to do tomorrow. Why? Because those ones of tomorrow are procrastinating. The one of today is taking action. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter how much, but do it. Start. Yes, start. The rest is history. Let me tell you what. With the 17 million shillings that I contributed, do you know what was the payback? The payback was 38.6 million.
What?
That's the amount that was paid back, that 8.6 million. in the 23 years. That conversion sounds terrifying. It sounds too much, but I'm telling you what, it can be done given the timeline. And even you, there's nothing difficult in what I'm talking about. It's doable.
No.
The difference is, are you willing to start or are you willing to start later? For me, I started immediately. You perhaps are willing to start later. Now, let me tell you this. After getting to that 8.6 million, again, I sat and did some homework. Do I just take this cash and buy myself another car? Do I take this cash and buy my wife a car? Or would I rather put this money in an investment? At that particular point, and with the little knowledge that I have in financial advisory, I picked a product called Private Wealth.
Private wealth.
Private Wealth is a product that invests in infrastructure bonds with a minimum input of 10 million. For you to open an account, minimum is 10 million.
10 million.
So you can imagine how many people are investing in that platform.
Not many.
So my 38.6 million shillings, I put it in Private Wealth, and I was given a coupon rate of 15.83. Coupon rate is like interest
Yeah.
that you're paid, and the coupon you are paid every 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm getting 15.83, but this money is paid to you every 6 months. The 6 months payment came to 2.97 every 6 months.
Because I'm doing the math, and from my mathematics, and this does not even include compounded interest,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
In about the next 7 years, you will have doubled.
Actually, I have done 42 million. I've done the numbers.
Yeah.
Now, if you take 15.83% of that 8.6, it was coming to just short of 6 million. But the 6 million is payable half yearly. So every 6 months, I'm getting 2.977 million. 2.977 every 6 months. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is because I want you to see the importance of long-term savings, the importance of compounding, importance of discipline, which a lot of people don't have. That most of the people can actually be able to build this kind of a fund. The only thing that puts them off is the discipline. And the commitment. Now today, without doing anything, I know I'm making half a million shillings every month from a fund that started from 3,000.
Wow.
Is that motivating? From a fund of 3,000, a fund that started off with 3,000.
Mathu, that's how I want to retire.
It's making half a million shillings for me every month.
That is how I want to retire, and I'm sure that's how you want to retire. And I think we need a class.
So when I speak to people, I tell them these are the things we need to discuss today. Some people think we should discuss next year. If you look at, say today, Anne is 30 years. And if you go for a normal retirement of 60, you got about 360 months. Anne is 30 years today, retiring at 60, you got 360 months left. Every month counts. So if you're telling me to talk to you next year, you'll actually be having 348 months left, not 360. And the journey continues. By the time you're starting to make a decision, you'll be having 200 months left.
Or 100.
Or 100 months left.
Yeah.
What you could have potentially done with 360 months can never be done in 100 months. And if you do, it will be a significant amount of financial strain. Today, if you are to tell me to start building a fund of that 8 million shillings in the next 10 years, I'll perhaps need to be putting aside from the day one 300,000. But I only started with 3,000 bob. Time value for money.
Yeah.
Time value for money. Ask yourself, in the last 1 year, how much of your income did you direct into an investment program? Because a lot of the people, when they look at what they did last year, they can only talk about the expenses. There's nothing that actually ended up in an investment. And this is going to explain your financial wellness. Because if you're directing the 25%, or if you're directing a significant portion of your income into the investment, be sure that your status only improves. But a lot of people, at the age of 45, you're already eating your pension. At the age of 45, you're actually eating your future with a bigger spoon. The money that could have given you security at old age, you're eating it now when you're 40.
I'm very curious because this is such an important conversation. It should inspire action almost immediately. So I want to go back to why, apart from just the perception or living life above your means, is there something else underlying that doesn't inspire people to take action? Or is it, do we feel like we're gonna live forever?
Let me tell you something.
Or retirement is like far-fetched?
There's a lady that I've served, a very respected lady in Kenya, and who was a former MD of Zamara Group, a lady called Losa. So this lady introduced her friends to me. Ladies, ladies, that's one thing that I admire in ladies.
Yeah.
When you have something good, you normally share with friends.
You share.
When men have
and influence
good things,
everyone.
they keep to themselves so they can make maximum. They think that you make more by keeping it. Ladies think they'll make more if they work together with others. So Rosa introduced a group of ladies to me, and there are 9 of them. They have a charmer, and I hosted them for dinner in a restaurant up here in Kilimani. And we had a good discussion around retirement investments, and of course even other related money matters. And they all told me, Alfred, what you've taught us today is revolutionary, and we are going to take action. And may I confirm, a group of 9, so far 4 of them have signed up their retirement investment. And even those that have not signed, like one I'm meeting on Monday, I can see in the next 2 months, they all have done something. But now that's not the part that I want to talk about. The one I want to talk about is that when we are done with the meeting, their chair ready told me, Alfred, this conversation that we have had with you today, I wish we could have with our children. Because our children are in their 20s and early 30s.
Yeah, I wanted to ask how old were the women in the group?
In fact, some of them are in the university. Some of them are in college. So last Saturday, I was privileged to have a group of 16 children of these ladies.
Can I ask how old the ladies are?
The ladies,
what's the age?
The ladies are, I think
bracket?
The youngest would be 45.
45.
And the oldest of them is about 54. 54.
I see.
Now, the children that they have put together, there are 15 of them. And I met them on Saturday. And the charity came. She sat in the training from the beginning to the end as I spoke to their children. And I was completely inspired that you now want this gospel to be cascaded to your children so that it can help them in their turnaround process.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us got to know these things when we were adults. We got these things when we were way old. A lot of the people are knowing about personal investments when they're in the 40s, when they're 35.
True.
Some of the guys some of the young children, I realized they are in college. In fact, 2 of them are doing low degree in Strathmore. And I was so happy. You're talking to guys even before they get to the employment. Because that's the point they need to get some of these things. Believe it or not, again, after meeting 15 children, and with about 7 of them that are working, I have signed up 3 of those children. In fact, the latest being yesterday. But now, the girl that I met yesterday is doing a degree in nursing.
Nursing.
And she has intentions to master the same in Germany later in the year. She's telling me that the plans that she has with the man, that she'll go to Germany in October to start her master's.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing, when I sat with this girl, she was born 2004.
Oh.
So how old is that girl? 21 years.
21 years.
21 years. So I asked her. So the girl is called Mombi. Mombi. I asked Mombi, what is that one goal that you feel you want to achieve? She went in and told me, Alfred, I've interacted a lot with young men of my age. And from the look of things, we don't seem to have husbands. I'm quoting what she said. I've interacted with young men of my age. And from the look of things,
we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle to find husbands.
I cannot see husband material in the kind of young people that I'm interacting with. And because of that, unlike what my mom did, waiting for dad to buy a house for the family, I want to buy one for myself. Because I cannot see a man who will fit in the shoes of, like my dad, to be that, like husband, who will be responsible enough to one day want to buy a house for me. I want to buy my own. And for me to do that, I need the discipline from this point. That with the little money that I'm making, because the family has a business, and the girl told me, Alfred, my mom gives me an allowance of 30,000. I live at home, I don't have bills. The 30,000 shillings that I'm earning for my mom, I can comfortably afford to put 50% of that aside, and I live for the balance.
Wow.
That's what she told me. I want to comfortably put 50% of
and
that
this is
money.
the same mother who was in the Chama.
Can you imagine? What an inspiration. What an inspiration. That she's learning from the mother the importance of financial planning. And she feels this is the right time. In fact, she feels late. Now, the most ironical thing, a girl of 21 years feeling late, and I'm meeting ladies and men who are 50 and who are feeling young, who are feeling like it's too early to consider this gospel. The girl is 21 and feeling very late. I am meeting men and women who are 50 and feeling like they are too young and it's too early for them to make a decision. We met at Java Valley Arcade yesterday.
I'm inspired by her.
And I left that environment feeling nice, that great feeling.
Yeah.
That you've changed the mindset of a young person, rather than think about gadgets, rather than think about relationships that don't work. She's now think about, Alfred, do you think with my little savings of about 15,000 going forward, can I be able to put a fund that can one day buy me an apartment in Ikilimani or Lavington at a price of 8 million? That's what she asked me.
It's possible.
I was very inspired.
I'm inspired.
At times to listen to some of these young people,
I'm very, very
you
inspired.
feel very emotionally taken out.
So back to the question I was asking, what is it, apart from just living above our means or beyond our means, what is this other thing that, just fuels this procrastination and lack of action, I would say. And when I think about it, there's a good piece that is financial literacy. Just the way we were, our education system, even I can't remember ever talking about money in my home. We talked about how to spend it, like in terms of this money, go and pay that bill, this money, go and do that. But in terms of this money, put it here so that it can grow into something bigger tomorrow. I don't remember ever having that conversation with my parents.
And I'll tell you,
or even in school.
if you don't have a target, you're not going to hit it. If you don't have a goal, you'll never achieve it. One of the reasons why people procrastinate is because they have no clarity of goals they want to achieve in life. You just wake up like everyone else, you make money like everyone else, you spend like everyone else, and life moves on. The moment you identify the things that you want to achieve, and you give that a timeline, you look at your budget and decide that for me to have this much, I need to start putting aside this much. That will actually be a turning point. Having clarity of goals that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
For example, a young mother. I think one of the goals that should motivate you to financial discipline is investing towards a child's education. That from my conversation with my daughter or my son, I can see a lawyer in this. And for that child to become a lawyer, assuming that this child will go to the normal Kenyan universities and go through the system, maybe it will take 7 years, I'll need to have a fund of this much. If it's costing this much today, I would think that maybe to become a lawyer today would cost you something in the space of about 7 million. In the next 5 years, it will perhaps have moved from 7 to about 9. So if your child is going to university in the next, say, 5 years, you need to start thinking broadly where you get this 9 million. And that alone will inspire a step. That for me, to have 9 million shillings the next 5 or 10 years, this is the amount I need to start putting aside now. And it should be put in this kind of an investment program whose appreciation rate is this much. So that in that period, I'll have the amount that I'm looking for. Or I want to buy a house, or I want to build one, or I want to start a business. Have a goal. And then look at the numbers that will help meet that agenda. Look at the timeline. You've always had people talk about SMART goals. Let me say something about SMART goals. SMART goals are very specific.
Specific.
They are measurable.
Measurable.
They are achievable. They are realistic.
Realistic.
And they're time bound.
Time bound.
So a lot of the people don't work with specific goals. You come up with a very ambiguous goal. I want to buy a house. So where? We don't know.
In fact, that's what I was.
Is it a bungalow? We don't know. Is it a mansion?
There's a goal, yes.
Is it on a 50 by 100? Is it going to be on 40 by 8? Is it going to be on 100 by 100? Is it on half an acre? People don't give specific
It's not
goals.
specific.
The other thing they never do is consider the timeline. By when must it
How
be achieved?
long? Yeah.
How much time do I have? I want to put funds together for educating my daughter. How old is my daughter today? 10 years. At what age do children normally go to university? 18. So between 10 and 18, I've got 8 years. So if you're working towards that goal, realize you've got 96 months.
Yeah.
Don't work with 15 years. Work with 96, which is 9 years. No, I mean 8 years. Because that's the time left.
Yes.
Have a specific timeline. So even when you want to give yourself a target, maybe you want to have a fund of 5 million, within what period? You want to have a fund of $1 million in your money market, within what period? Timeline. But then, I will say something over and above the SMART goal. Thinking smart. Thinking and planning smart. Which means, think big, start small, but start now. Think big, start small, but start now. You have a desire to own a half an acre, build a house in Karen, and you even have clarity of details. I'll do a 5-bedroom house. I'll have a swimming pool. I'll have jacuzzi. I'll have a carport of 5 cars, but I'll do it the next 10 years. The other thing is, that's a big goal. Is your current income in line with that big goal? Maybe not. So start with what you have. Don't start with what you don't have. Start with what you have. Start where you are.
Don't wait to have
Yes.
what you think you want
But then,
to start.
if you have to keep sense of that long-term goal, start now. Because a lot of people, the bigger masses, lose it by not taking action today. They'll take action, but not today. They'll take the action tomorrow or next month.
Yeah.
The
Wacha
problem
nijipange
is,
kidogo.
the more you wait, the less will be the time left for you to address the goal. Are you getting?
Yes.
So I think for me, once again, financial diligence, which encompasses having a goal, treating your mindset to know that this is not a corrective agenda. It's a personal agenda. Investment that I'm talking about today is a personal responsibility. It doesn't matter what your friends are doing.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do yourself. Don't copy what they are doing.
Yeah.
Because the challenge with copying today, you might not be able to paste it in the future. You copy now, but you'll never be able to paste. So maybe some people are coming from very wealthy families. For them, they're just going through this life knowing people that I've got a house which my father has given me, I've got a car which my father is willing, I've got this and that, everything my parents are providing. How about that person who doesn't have the privilege of such?
So I think I'm inspired. I hope you're inspired as well. It's clear we need to have smart goals, right? But we also need to plan smart on how we are going to achieve those goals within a certain timeline.
True.
As I mentioned, I feel like financial literacy also, like if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, then you might run into some trouble, or at the very least give yourself some clarity in terms of staying informed about what you need to do to get to that goal.
True.
Now, Mr. Mathu, I want to sit with you in the next episode. I will expose myself and my financial status at the moment, and we will sit and plan. And I'm hoping anyone else who is in the same situation as myself will be able to reflect on it as well, and also maybe get pointers and smart planning, like a good plan on how to achieve that goal. Is that fair?
It is fair.
Yeah.
It is fair. Let people learn from our experiences.
I think so.
They shouldn't make the same mistake that some of us did.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I think this is very scary, by the way, and I think I'm suffering a bit from what you said about how people perceive me, right? And so I'm a bit worried that I'll be exposing myself, but I feel like it's important, and in the in the process, like, what are we doing? Why am I doing this if I myself am not actually walking the talk?
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So in the next episode, we will talk about what is available. And I think I am 30. How old am I? I'm 37, I think.
Okay.
We'll confirm.
Wow.
37 years
really?
old. Born 1987. I think it's 37.
Wow. Wow.
I'm starting to lose count. So
Wow.
clearly I don't have many months
Otherwise,
left.
you've done well for yourself. Otherwise, you've done well for yourself.
Yeah. So 37. So we will look at a 37-year-old lady, right? We'll also look at a 47-year-old lady. Supposing I procrastinate for the next 10 years.
10 years, yes.
I think I need to know how that looks like.
Yes.
And then I also want to know, if I took action at 27, how would that be looking like today? So that it can inspire the 27-year-old. I am very passionate now about creating content and basically offering information for my younger self. So for the ladies and the men as well, who are, let's say, behind me, both in terms of experience and age as well, can pick up and do something about it.
True.
At 27, and not wait to do something about it at 37.
Wow. Wow.
Right?
Can't wait for that. But as I said again, let's do what we need to do now. Let's not wait for tomorrow. We're never too sure of tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Put your best foot forward, not backward.
Not backwards, forward.
Best foot forward.
Forward.
Anyone can succeed. It all depends on how you're taking up this information, how you are going to sit down and interrogate it yourself, and be able to put the right actions in place.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Alfred. Join us in the next episode as we break down what this looks like, and make it simple enough for it to be palatable, and for you to actually set out key activities that you need to actually get into to get the ball rolling. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Alfred, for coming.
Yeah. Have a lovely week.